Vice President Spiro Agnew specifically referred to my special guest and his duo partner as being subversive American youth. They were also on President Richard Nixon's enemies list, a badge they still wear with pride. Michael Brewer, today with Tom Shipley, are best known as Brewer and Shipley, whose song One Toke Over the Line went Billboard Top 10 while being banned on many radio stations. Think about that. Banned, not getting airplay, hit Top 10. That's huge. They also hit a home run with Tarkio Road, Shake Off the Demon. Then they appeared their song on the Lawrence Welk Show. Now, just that thought makes me wake up screaming in the middle of the night. However, Lawrence Welk referred to One Toke as a modern spiritual as it was performed on his show. The video can be found on YouTube. Please, to my audience, go watch it. In 2014, Brewer and Shipley presented the Spirit of Folk Award from the Folk Alliance International and have been inducted into the Kansas Music Hall of Fame and the Missouri Music Hall of Fame. For everything Brewer and Shipley, visit their website, brewerandshipley.com. Please welcome back to the Mark Berman Show, Michael Brewer. Michael, welcome.
Thank you very much. How are you doing, Mark?
You know what? I'm doing great. Everything's amazing. 40 years ago, you had One Toke. That was your song. Of course it's good for you. You're still out on tour. People are still flocking to see Brewer and Shipley.
Well, we wouldn't know what else to do, you know.
When you wrote One Toke in a dressing room and debuted at Carnegie Hall as your second encore when you ran out of material, let me ask you, when you played this song that you just wrote on a piece of paper, did you know you had something when you came out and sung it? What was the reaction like from the crowd?
Well, everybody went crazy. They loved it. You know, we figured we had nothing to lose because basically we'd gone over really well. We'd gotten a couple of encores and basically had run out of songs. So we thought, well, let's do that new song. We have nothing to lose, so we did, and everybody loved it. And Neil Bogart, rest his soul, he was the president of Buddha Kama Sutra Records, who we were with. He came backstage and says, "Oh, you got to add that to the album." We were working on our Tarkio album at the time, which kind of surprised us because we didn't take the song seriously. We literally wrote it just entertaining ourselves and to make our friends laugh. So we thought, okay, sure. So we put it on there, and Buddha, or Neil Bogart, the guy who decided to release it as a single, and we got in a lot of trouble. Like you said, we made Nixon's enemies list, which we held as a badge of honor and still do.
But you hit top 10 on Billboard being banned. In other words, there were places that song was not being heard. Had it been heard, can you imagine? Now, let's just take a second and think about this. So that's huge, what you did. And I look at the label, Kama Sutra, and the people that were on there, like Charlie Daniels has recorded on there, and Love and Spoonful, and the Jaggers back in the day, and all this stuff. You had the only, I guess, weed reference in your music, and Neil Bogart just accepted it. It's great.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. We probably were the only artists talking about such things. But you know what? That's why they signed us in the first place, because originally Buddha Kama Sutra Records was known as the bubblegum label, bubblegum
That's
music.
Right.
Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy. And
That's
stuff
right.
And he wanted to change that because FM radio was brand new, and it was underground radio, and so the albums is what it was all about, rather than just singles. And we were definitely album artists because every LP Tom and I have ever recorded, it's never been just a bunch of songs. They've all meant something. The whole album is a package in itself. And that's what he was going for, and that's why he signed us. So it's kind of ironic that he released a single in the first place, but it brought a lot of attention to our albums, which is what what our music has really been all about.
Did you ever think of writing a sequel or something more in that vein with the legalization of marijuana?
A year ago, Tom and I were playing Colorado, and somebody had given us something. And when we got back to the motel, we stepped outside. It was ironic because, non-smoking motel rooms today, we had to go outside to smoke it. But we were outside burning one, and I came up with a song on the spot called First Legal Joint. It dawned on us we were smoking our very first legal joint ever.
Is it recorded anywhere?
No, but Tom and I have actually been writing some songs together recently for the first time in years, and we're seriously considering recording another CD before it's too late, before one or both of us croaks like all of our contemporaries.
No, stop! But you need to do something, and I'm sure that it would just go crazy on the charts.
Well, everybody loves it. It goes over great. Everybody says, "Oh man, that may be your next one Toke over the line or something." With the way things are happening in the United States today, with the changes taking place, it's just taken so ridiculously long, for all these changes to come about. It's high time, if you'll pardon the pun.
Now, the B-side on One Toke, wasn't that "Oh Mommy, I Ain't No Commie"?
Yes, it was. Jerry Garcia playing pedal steel guitar.
Okay, now, I'm glad you said that. Why is Jerry Garcia playing on that and not One Toke?
Well, it didn't have pedal steel guitar on One Toke over the line. It's regular guitar. At the time we were recording at Wally Hyder's studio in San Francisco. We recorded 5 albums there, and it was kind of like going to the office for so many artists. The Jefferson Airplane or offshoots of the Airplane, Papa John Creech or whoever, were in there every day. Crosby, Stills, Nash, take your pick. It was like 3 studios, and people were just in there every day, and you'd kind of, go from one studio to the other and see what everybody was up to. And Jerry was there a lot, and he just started playing pedal steel guitar. We had that song, "Oh Mommy, I Ain't No Commie," that cried out for a pedal steel guitar because of its country sound. And so I ran down and says, "Jerry, you want to play pedal steel? You got a minute?" And he says, "Sure." So he brought his pedal steel in and put it down, and there it is.
I have to go back. I watch your performances from, let's just use a current term, back in the day. March 23rd, 73. You were on the Midnight Special.
Yeah.
Michael, was that a lip sync? Did you lip sync on all those shows?
Oh, yeah. Everybody did. It was acceptable in those days.
Everybody did. Yeah, every performance was.
Yeah, everybody.
Okay.
Everybody lip synced. You didn't do it live. We did some live things. We did the Dick Cavett show, which was a big show at the time. The David Frost show, the Tonight Show, and those were live. But one reason it's a good thing to lip sync is because, well, the Tonight Show, for instance, it was still Johnny Carson still in New York, and John Kahn was the guy playing bass on a bunch of our records. We flew him out from San Francisco. But NBC didn't want to pay him to be on camera. They'd have to pay him more, so he was off camera. Well, they didn't mix him either. I mean, his family was watching and everything. He was there, but you couldn't see him or hear him. It was kind of like a Zen performance for the poor guy. But, there's a good reason, why maybe lip sync is not such a bad idea, because it sounds like the record, instead of, because you have no control over it. When you're playing live, you don't know how you're being mixed.
That's right.
Tom and I did Top of the Pops in London, and because of their laws, they weren't going to do One Toke because it had been banned and didn't even get any airplay over there because of it. But there was a song called "People Love Each Other" that was a pretty big production, actually, right down to an instrument called a jawbone, which is literally a donkey's jawbone with the teeth loose in it, and you hit it and the teeth rattle. They even had one of those. And a group called Southern Comfort, if you remember them, ended up back.
Of course.
We had to go into a studio in London, re-record the song on a 4-track machine, and we're going in thinking, oh, this is going to be disastrous. Well, I'll be danged if it didn't sound better than our original recording. But because of their laws, once again, when we were on Top of the Pops, they had to be on camera. Well, everybody was pretending to play. They weren't even plugged in. The only thing live were our vocals, Tom and me. And as luck would have it, they didn't have us mixed well. You couldn't even hear Tom. How hard can it be? 2 vocals. You know what I mean? So maybe lip syncing is not such a bad idea after all.
Well, people still seem to be doing it today.
Well, yeah.
We only have a couple seconds left, but I do have to ask you, where'd you meet the late Dan Fogelberg? Because I know he was a good friend of yours.
Yes, he was. I met him. I was playing a little bar in Nederland, Colorado, solo, and that's when he was living not far from their Caribou Ranch studios where he was doing a lot of his work. He was working on his Innocent Age album at the time, which is a double LP, and he came in and he met me, and he'd been a Brewer and Shipley fan for a long time, and he said he had a song that he'd like for me to sing a duet with him on, a beautiful song called The Reach, and I did, and one thing led to another, and he ended up producing my first solo effort, an LP on Warner Brothers called Beauty Lies. And rest his soul. What a waste.
What a talented man who actually stirred all of our emotions in his music.
Absolutely.
He was brilliant. Real quick, of the huge names you've shared a stage with, and you've played with everybody up on the stage, man. You've appeared with everyone. Who was the most fun, and where was it?
Well, it's kind of apples and oranges. You know what I mean? It's it'd be hard to pick.
I'm sure. I've looked at the list of people you performed with. That's I'm sure that's a tough question.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. A couple of years ago, maybe 3, Tom and I did one of Levon Helms, and Levon was a longtime friend too. Did one of his midnight rambles at his studio, at his home, and that was just a ball. We ranked that right up there with one of the most fun gigs we have ever done, and it was such an honor because at the end of his set, they closed with The Wait, and we were invited up to sing The Wait with Levon and that incredible band. So that was really, really an honor. That one ranks way up there for me.
Well, that's huge, and they played down here at Tony Mart's, and there's a big story to that. We could talk about that another time because I'd love to have you back on the show. I have only got about a minute left with you. And have you ever played here in Atlantic City?
I think we did a booking conference or sometime in a casino one time. I know that Tom and I'm thinking that's what we were doing while we were even in Atlantic City, but I remember we wrote a song called Dirty Money, all based around, we saw these little old ladies on the nickel machines rather, and all their hands were just black from handling all the nickels. Then we wrote a song called Dirty Money.
This is Michael Brewer.